Okay, thanks, Anna. So hi everybody. My name is Noah Smith, and I'll be moderating this panel. And I think what we'll do is maybe just do, I'll just do brief introductions, and I'll kind of let people maybe talk about how they got to where they are today, and maybe give us a little bit of a historical perspective on how accessing the legal profession has changed since passage of the ADA, and then I'm sure we'll also get into some discussion on how it still needs to be improved. So we'll just start, well, I guess to my left, this is Susan Mizner. She's the director of the Mayor's Office on Disability in San Francisco. And then we've got Stuart Pixley, who works for Microsoft. And then finally, Kathi Pugh, who does pro bono counsel at Morrison, Forrester in San Francisco. And then I just graduated from law school. I finished in December at Berkeley Law School, and I kind of juggling my balls in the air right now, but I think I'm going to take a government position with EPA in San Francisco. Great. So, anyway, I'll let Susan jump in, and maybe if just each one of us can maybe just give a, or maybe Kathi.
Sure.
Okay.
Just career, but let me do it right. So I broke my neck when I was 20, Christmas, and was never a student. But then went to Berkeley after that, where I never left. I'm still in Berkeley, and I did a joint degree. I graduated from Berkeley with Berkeley Economies of Industrial Societies. Yeah, one of those great majors that you can only get a job with. Look for a job per year. I could get jobs I didn't even really want to do in 1984. And then thought, okay, I'll go to law school because at least when I graduate, I'll be a lawyer and know what I want to do. So I did a joint degree at Berkeley. I got my MBA, a law degree from there. And then was a summer associate at MoCo. Never, ever thought that I would stay at a corporate firm. I was always interested in legal services. Wanted to do something in disability rights, but couldn't get a job with legal services at that time. You know, and people had told me right to my face that, you know, that they would like to hire me, but the accommodations would be too expensive, which is, you know, basically a raised desk and telephone and computer, just like everyone else. So at MoFo, I had always done a lot of pro bono work, and, you know, was having trouble, the billable hours, just I was very miserable, couldn't put my heart into my work. So pretty much kind of created the position. I started coordinating the clinic in the San Francisco office and just kind of kept expanding and expanding it. Finally started calling myself the firm-wide pro bono counsel, and they made it official. So
there's a lesson. Call yourself what you want to be.
Yeah. And now I've been there 20 plus years. I'm a survivor.
So my name is Stuart Pixley. I work now at Microsoft. I started, I went to college in Southern California at Pixley College. I got my degree in psychology and dabbled a lot in psychobiology, brain and behavior, that sort of thing. Spent 4 years after graduating college working for independent living centers doing disability rights type work. Handling administrative appeals from Social Security benefits and stuff like that with ALJs, which gave me a nice flavor for what it might be like to be an attorney. And so I took off and went to school at Berkeley, like a bunch of the folks up here, and graduated in '97. I went, so one of the themes that you've heard in the last couple of panels have been about matching. And so when I look back on my legal career, I think it's all kind of about, you know, I had a core interest, which was in intellectual property and trying to find sort of the right way to do that. So I started out in New York doing outsourcing transactions, doing a lot of trademark prosecution work, doing a little bit of patent litigation. And this was right in the middle of the tech bubble, and all of that was happening really out in California. So I came out to Brobeck and worked for them doing a lot of Silicon Valley style work, a lot of venture capital work, mostly on the technology side, helping people figure out how to protect their IP, how to license that, how to commercialize that. As many of you know, there's no more Brobeck. That collapsed in 2003, and I was fortunate to get picked up by Baker McKenzie, which of course is a very, very different place. If Brobeck was big, then Baker is bigger. Exactly. And of course it's international, so that was very nice, and I thought it was a good chance to do some international travel. But I still did a lot of intellectual property work, but what characterized that was doing a lot of work in M&A transactions, and I can talk to you about that. That was a very different lifestyle than doing stuff for Silicon Valley companies.
Sorry, Stuart, we can hardly hear you over here. Thank you.
Did a lot of M&A work, which of course is that work.
Thank you very much.
Which is a lot different than working in for Silicon Valley companies. And so I had this bright idea that I wanted to do that again. So I chose to go to Ella Ehrman, which I think some of you know is also no longer around. I want to tell you, I think I've been doing now for 4 or 5 or 6 years. I want to report that this is the first time I've come here and spoken to all of you. And I'm in the same position I was. But I think I'm uniquely qualified to talk to you about job searches and things like that. But right now, I have essentially 2 positions. My main position is counseling on open source software. I also manage a patent licensing program for the antitrust compliance team, and I'm very active on with respect to disability issues, both at the company and in the community. So I can talk to you more about that as well.
So I love this button saying, I don't look disabled. Well, you didn't look stupid. I'm going to wear it most days that I'm in public, especially when I need to ride Muni. So I'm sorry. Susan Mizner, I developed my disability when I was living in China. I got really, really sick. They thought I was going to die. I didn't. But I didn't really get well. And I came back. I'd applied to law schools from China and was planning to go to Berkeley, so we could have been a triple here. But I'd been living in this closet, which was a privilege in China because it was my own room, but it was a closet right outside of a sewage place where they pick up the sewage to go fertilize the fields. And the idea of being on a green, rolling, pastoral place just appealed to me enough that I ended up going to Stanford. I had to put that off for 2 years. I was pretty much bedridden for a couple of years. We found a medication that helped, and I decided I just had to get on with my life, and went to most of my classes at Stanford term a cop. That's why I put that in my bio, and have steadily gotten better. But I did Stanford on the 4-year plan. And they were fabulous. This was, just to tell my age, before the ADA, or at least after it had been passed, but before it came into effect. And I knew that I planned to go do nonprofit work. I'd actually planned to do international work, but I wasn't going to be up to that. And there was no place that I was going to be working 80 hours a week for. I was lucky if I would be working 25 hours a week.